Today is Lag BaOmer, the 33rd day of the counting of the Omer, and a very auspicious day, a day of great mystical depth. We're taught that two momentous things happened on this day. There was one of the greatest rabbis, the teachers of Torah Sheba'al Peh, of the oral Torah, the one referred to as the Moshe Rabbeinu, the Moses of the oral Torah, was Rabbi Akiva. And Rabbi Akiva had 24,000 students who were studying by him. And in a period of 33 days, a epidemic or perhaps a pandemic swept through and killed all 24,000 students in 33 days. Today, the 33rd day of the Omer, is the day that they stopped dying. And as a result, we celebrate. Why did these people die? We can explain things on a scientific and medical level, but the Torah is always looking for the spiritual message. The spiritual message, the Gemara, the Talmud says, Shelo nogu kavod zeh b'zeh, they did not show sufficient honor for each other. The other momentous occasion was that today is the yahrzeit, the anniversary of the passing of Reb Shimon Bar Yochai. Shimon Bar Yochai, the author of the Zohar, quoted often in the Mishnah, but taught us this great body of mystical text. And today's the day he passed, but not only the day he passed, the day that he passed away, in the Zohar is written of all the secrets that he revealed to the world, all the depth of Torah that God allowed him to reveal to the world at this point in time. If these two things happened on the same day, not the same year, but the same day in the Jewish calendar, clearly there's a connection. Let's try to understand what this connection is. The Talmud, the Gemara, tells us about the story of Reb Shimon Bar Yochai. Reb Shimon Bar Yochai was wanted by the Romans for saying something, as I'll explain shortly, negative about the Romans, and they wanted to kill him. He ran away and he hid in a cave for 12 years with his son Reb Elazar. And then there's a whole story that ensues. I spoke about it last week on the drasha that was posted. But before then, the story that led up to why the Romans wanted him to get killed is as follows. He was sitting with Rabbi Yehuda, Rabbi Eloi, and Rabbi Yossi, two great rabbis. Rabbi Yehuda, Rabbi Eloi said, look at how wonderful the Romans are. The Romans were in control at the time. They were the dictators. And look what they've done. They built bathhouses, they built bridges, they built marketplaces. Look how wonderful it makes the world. That's what Rabbi Yehuda, Rabbi Eloi said. Rabbi Yossi is silent. Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai says, no, they built them for themselves. They built it for all their own narcissistic purposes. The Romans hear about this. They say, Rabbi Yehuda, Rabbi Eloi said good things about us. We'll give him a promotion. We'll elevate him to a higher status. Rabbi Yossi, who was silent, will be sent away. And Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai we're going to kill. Why did Rabbi Yehuda, Rabbi Eloi say something negative? Why did Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai why did Rabbi Eloi say something positive? Why did Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, about the same event, why did he see and say something negative? What is it? What's going on here? So I'd like to share some thoughts based on a brief essay from Rav Kook, the first chief rabbi of Israel. And he explains as follows, that Rabbi Yehuda, Rabbi Eloi looked at the action. Was the action a good action? Yeah. It was something positive. It helped the world, having bridges for travel, having the marketplaces for buying and selling, having the bathhouses. It's a good thing for the world. Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai looked at the intent. But now let's understand who these two are. Rabbi Yehuda, there are many arguments in the Talmud, in the Mishnah, between Rabbi Yehuda and Rabbi Shimon. And there's a theme to many of them. Rabbi Yehuda looks at the action. Is the action an action that's prohibited or forbidden? And Rabbi Shimon looks at the intent. Was the intent to do the prohibited act or the permitted act? The Talmud also tells us Rabbi Shimon derish timer dekro. When the Torah gives a law, an obligation or a prohibition, Rabbi Yehuda looks at what's said, and Rabbi Shimon tries to understand the reasoning behind it. There's a theme here. Rabbi Shimon is looking deeper, not at what's done, but at the intent. Rabbi Yehuda says, look at the action. Not that Rabbi Yehuda is shallow, God forbid, but Rabbi Yehuda is focused on one plane, Rabbi Shimon's the other. Rabbi Shimon's always saying, go deeper, which is really what the Zohar is. The Zohar is a book of incredible depth. It takes every concept in Torah, every concept in existence, shows there's a depth behind it. Things are not simple. Actions are not just actions. Words are not just words. Worlds are changing. Things are happening as a result of what I do, what I say, even what I think. Rabbi Yehuda says the action's positive, that's where we have to go. Rabbi Shimon says, look deeper. But let's take it further here. We're also taught that there's a custom to shoot a bow and arrow on Lag BaOmer. I haven't had a chance to go to any of the archery fields in Plano. There are some, I haven't had a chance today, but there's a concept of shooting bow and arrow. Why bow and arrow? I once heard explained beautifully by Rabbi Y.Y. Jacobson that when you want to shoot an arrow, you want it to go high and far. What do you have to do? You have to pull back. And the higher you want it to go, the lower you have to pull. And that's a metaphor for ourselves. When we want to do things of greatness, when we want to create change and transformation in the world, we want things to happen, what we need to do? We need to go deep within ourselves. And we don't want to go deep within ourselves. Sometimes there are things that are not so pretty within ourselves. Sometimes there are things we have to deal with. We have to change. We have to transform. We have to take responsibility. We don't want to do that. But if you're not willing to do that, there's no power. The natural thing to do in life when you're called out on something is, well, it's not my fault. Why did I say that nasty thing to you? Because you set me up for it. Why did I not take care of what I was supposed to? Because you didn't remind me. And what happens is I walk away scot-free. It's not my fault. It's your fault. Had you reminded me, had you not done that, had you not triggered, none of this would have happened. So it's your fault. I'm fine. The problem is there's no power. Because if it's your fault and not mine, there's no change that I can bring about either. But the more I'm willing to take responsibility and quote unquote look bad and not look good because I've done things wrong, that's the more change I can make. The ball is in my court. I can make change and I can bring out greatness. The more I'm willing to pull that bow deep inside myself and into the lowest parts of myself and look deeply and bring light into the darkness, that's where the greatness lies. That's where change lies. The third Grand Rabbi of Chabad, the Tzemach Tzedek, says something amazing. We know the famous story of Hillel, where a non-Jew comes to Hillel and says, teach me the whole Torah while I stand on one foot. And Hillel says, no problem. That which you despise, don't do to your friend. That's the entire Torah. Ask the Tzemach Tzedek, why speak in the negative? Essentially, that's the negative way of saying love your friend as yourself. Don't do to others what you don't want done to yourself. Why speak in the negative? Just be positive. Love your friend as yourself. Says that Tzemach Tzedek, there's a very deep message here, brilliant message here. We know that there are things about ourselves that are not right, that are negative, that are not perfect. I know that I get angry sometimes. I know sometimes I'm not motivated. I can be threatened by others. Maybe I lack a sense of self-esteem. We all know we have our negative character traits, or the things we've done we're embarrassed of, the things we're ashamed of, the things we don't want other people to know. And you know what? Despite all of that, we love ourselves. If we are healthy human beings, we love ourselves. We don't tear ourselves apart over it. We're still able to put it in perspective. But yet, if you'll tell me to have a relationship with somebody else, or be a friend with somebody else, or work with this person, or so on, or speak glowingly about another person, I'll say, do you know about his anger issue? Do you know about that jealousy the person has? Do you know what they did behind closed doors? Do you know what they said about other people? Do you know what they do on their free time? You want me to have a relationship or to have respect for such a negative person? No way! Wait a second. About myself, I've got no problem. About somebody else, I can't, as we say in Yiddish, I can't vergin. I can't let them go. Why is that? Says the Tzemach Tzedek, because we have a certain love for ourselves. And even though intellectually I'm aware of my shortcomings, I'm able to not connect to my shortcomings on the emotional level. I stop at the intellectual, cerebral level. It doesn't become emotional. But with somebody else, the intellectual awareness I have with somebody else also translates into emotions and negative emotions. What the Torah is saying, that which you hate, which is, what do we hate? We hate connecting emotionally to our shortcomings. Don't do that to your friend. In other words, just like you find the ability to look deep up within yourself and still love yourself and still see what's positive. And when someone calls me out on something I've done wrong, one level is I push away to other people. The other level is, but I meant well. I didn't want to hurt you. That wasn't my intent. It was a mistake. Give me the benefit of the doubt. I'm able to do that for myself. I'm able to go deep within myself and still find the positive and the good. That's what I have to do to somebody else. The message of Lag BaOmer is go deep inside yourself. And the message of Hillel is don't just go deep inside yourself, go deep in somebody else. See how maybe they didn't mean something negative. Give them the benefit of the doubt. Understand their childhood. Understand how they got triggered. Understand what's going on inside of them. When I could see what I see in myself, I could see in somebody else, then I've taken the message of Lag BaOmer and I've transferred it and taken it further. And let's take it to the other event of Lag BaOmer. What else happened on Lag BaOmer? We said the students of Rabbi Akiva stopped dying. Who was Rabbi Akiva? Rabbi Akiva is the one who said, Ze klal v'ahavta l'reacha kamocha, ze klal gadol b'Torah. That you should love your friend as yourself. That's a great principle in Torah. And somehow, on some subtle level, as students were not able to internalize that in relating to others. You know what we have to do on Lag BaOmer? We have to bring a tikkun, a repair to the negative that happened back then, that caused all those people to die. And what do we have to do? We have to take the message of Reb Shimon Bar Yochai and bring it into other people. And when I do that, and when I find what's right and what's beautiful in other people, then I'm able to respect them. Then I'm bringing life to this world. Then I'm bringing an end to all the suffering and the pandemics of the world. That's what I need to do, because there really is so much good and wholesomeness in the other person, in your friend, in your spouse, in your child, in your coworker, in your employer, in your employee, in the person who sits next to you at services, whoever that person might be. I want to tell you a story that, had I not heard this from the person who this took place with, I would have had trouble believing it, but it's such an awesome story. A man told me he was a middle school teacher. He was teaching upper middle school many, many years ago. And he comes into class one day, and it's his first year as a teacher. And as much as he was a tall, broad, well-built man, and the students were scared of him because they were much smaller than him and they were intimidated by him, he was intimidated by his students as well. And there was one student, just like very often in classes, that one student that knows how to get under your skin, that knows how to push your buttons, knows how to make trouble, and really just make everything just a little bit off. And there's that one student in class, and he's just struggling with helping that student and struggling having a relationship with that student. One day after recess, the rabbi comes back into class, and one of the students comes over to him and says, Rabbi, before recess I left a bag of cookies on my desk, and I come back now and it's just crumbs. Somebody stole my cookies. Uh-oh, someone stole the cookies. That's a teachable moment. We need to teach students about integrity and honesty and taking responsibility. We have to find out who did that. The first question is, the rabbi says, were any of you in the classroom during recess? And the answer was yes. Who was in the classroom during recess? That boy, that troublemaker. So what goes through the rabbi's mind? Aha, he was there. Well, obviously he stole the cookies and ate it. So let me call him over. And he's already tried the student in the courtrooms of his mind. He's already convicted him. He's had the testimony. And he's just ready to get confirmation so he can punish the student. He says, were you in the class during recess? Yes. Did you eat his cookies? No. Did you steal his cookies? No. What happened to those cookies? I have no idea what happened to those cookies. The next thought is, well, not only did he steal them, he's a liar too. Now, let me punish him twice, for stealing and for lying. And then a thought enters the rabbi's head. Wait a second. What if he's telling the truth? If he's telling the truth, I've just taught him that it does not pay to be honest. Honesty is not the best policy, because he's honest, and look what happens. So maybe I should let him go. But wait a second. Maybe he did steal, and I'm teaching him crime pays. What do I do? If I punish him, I'm teaching him there's no point in being honest. If I let him off, I'm showing him that there's a point in stealing and lying. What do I do? And there's a chill runs down the rabbi's spine, and he's trying to figure out what to do, and he's stuck. Just at that moment, another teacher runs in and says, Rabbi, I got to tell you the most amazing story that happened. He says, wait a minute. He says, no, I got to tell you right now, it's incredible. He says, what? He says, I was walking past your classroom during recess, and the window was open, and a bird flew into your classroom. And the bird flew over to a bag of cookies on one of the desks and started pecking at the cookies and started taking little pieces of the cookies away. And I just watched it as the most incredible thing. Wow. He almost destroyed a boy. He almost destroyed the boy's value system. Sometimes when we give people the benefit of the doubt, they really are that good. People are good and wholesome and wonderful. Let's not forget that. I was involved in a situation recently where there was a business deal, and there was one broker and another broker and people involved, and there were 4 people involved, and all of them, from speaking to them, all of them had the best of intentions. But everyone wound up getting very hurt. And as I was talking to them, each one of them was explaining to me the best of their intentions. And what I was trying to get them to see was the best of intentions that the other person had as well. And that's where they were struggling. Let's not be stuck. Let's be a Reb Shimon Bar Yochai in our interpersonal relationships. Let's see the depth and the beauty in other people. Let's bring a tikkun or a repair to the deaths of those 24,000 students by honoring other people, by believing what's right and what's good within them. Let's see the integrity and the beauty of other people. Have a wonderful day.